Yeah, I never ever wanted to be abused ever in my life. And what victim does, or what person does want to be abused? Although, there was an old man that, it was funny. He wanted me to abuse him. And he said, yeah, girls that were raped by their dads, yeah, they abuse me all the time. I mean, hitting them in the privates and you know, like, bruise, you know, like, he wanted to be hit, you know, I just, oh my God, that's just crazy. But, okay, just forget about that. I mean, it's totally safe. And I would have to say he was insane to himself. He wasn't harming anybody else, but it's just, like, really sad. Like, how can you teach someone, well, you should love yourself and you shouldn't want somebody to hurt you in your privates, or, like, bite you, or, like, you know, beat you up. You know, that's bizarre. Blown away. Like, oh my God, first person in my life who ever wanted me to beat him up. Like, yeah. I'm like, well, you should have been around when I was going through, you know, my episodes of horrifying, when I was raped all the time. Then I would have beaten you up. You're a fucking man. I don't care how old you are. Alright, so again, I never ever wanted to be beaten up, or go through my PTSD, which I did in 2006. I went through major PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, but just, I remembered when I was a little girl and I was thrown up against the wall, and the floodgates opened up, and the whole year I was beaten up. And yeah, you can kill somebody by throwing them up against the wall. So a person that was real said, you know what, you could have died because you have a big, huge bruise on the back of your head. But that was all the time that I walked in the door, and strangled, pulled, my hair was pulled, thrown down to the ground. I mean, I was severe for an entire year. But I would have to happen to say an insane abuser thinks that that's totally okay behavior, and totally shit all over me because I said, well, I had a government check, but I was unable to live there from that severe abuse. Oh, I totally shit upon. Well, that was such a little insignificant check. It couldn't help anyone out. Oh, what, that little tiny check? You really think that ever could even help out anyone? And, if I get an SSI check, which is all I can get, that's all they would give me, is $500. I know another, individual that got an SSI check, and that's all they received. SSDI, you get more. SSI, you do not get as much. And I was told this when my husband was alive, and I applied, and they, you know, denied me all the time. How did Social Security ever benefit me? It never did. And that's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I mean, just sparingly. Like, yeah, just to survive. Yeah, just to survive. So all I'm saying is I hate the word victim anymore. I hate the word narcissist. Okay. A person should not have to be, should not have to suffer from another person's violent attacks. Ever. That should never ever take place. Ever. And, you know, for an insane abuser to go try to gaslight and manipulating lies to brainwash a poor victim, that's totally awful. To say, well, that just never happened. That just never, ever, 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 ever happened. Yeah, and I totally disagree with, the bullshit of this young man. I mean, he's a young boy. He didn't have a good childhood, I mean, better than he wasn't suicidal. So unfortunately, the years that meant something, like, but he was like 11, and he just lived in poverty. But he was wrong when he said that the human brain is flawed, and when you think back on a memory, you might not be thinking correctly. Well, that's only for insane abusers that are completely delusional in all their denial. That's them. And I have to say the word narcissist. Yeah, that's the narcissist. They're completely insane in their total denial of what actually took place. And that's all I gotta say. That's the whole truth, nothing but the truth. But I can't, in all reality, I don't want to remember my past, but all the attacks that happened to me, my memory is not flawed. I remember, unfortunately, and I don't want to remember. So that's the whole thing with post-traumatic distress disorder. That's actually a good thing. It protects your mind. You're not supposed to remember that stuff. But when you do, the victim has to be strong and get over it and deliberately forget. Not make up memories of their childhood. So reprogram their childhood. Recreate their childhood in what should have been. No, what happened to me, and I have to deliberately forget it, which I just have to do. So I totally disagree that you have to reprogram you have to reprogram your mind to not remember your abuse, period. And that's what you have to do. Deliberately forget. Not forgive, deliberately forget. Forgiving means that you tell that person, actually, I mean, if you really think about forgiving, I forgive you for being viciously violent to me and almost killing me. I forgive you for that. How can you forgive a person doing that? You have to deliberately forget it and just be like, okay, that person's super crazy, so I can't deal, with their lies. So I have to know that, a real person can't stand lies. So a real person will just, insane abusers are so obvious that they will not let up. And they will not let up with, like, my dead husband saying that I'm a liar, when that's all he ever was. He never really got into his life of how awful of a person he was. And I didn't know. What was I supposed to know? Insane abusers are really good at lying. They're not going to tell you who they really are. And then they could be with someone. They could be married and do awful things. Like rape when they leave their wife. And the wife would never ever know. And that did happen. I saw that in other countries. And it's just awful. You live in an awful world where people are double-minded and they'll treat someone else completely different than the way that they treat their victim. And that's just the truth about this insane backwards world. Like, the bully always wins. The bully always has resources. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but so many of them do. And the really bad guys that I was forced to go out with, their moms always took care of them. The one in particular always saved them. He had a very rich family. What the hell? Do I live in hell? All these really bad people get help, and look at all the homeless victims out there in the street. What happened to Melody? What happened to Donna? Actually, I saw Donna last night at the library. She looked pretty good. I don't know where she's standing. She just had a big, huge backpack. But she was dressed nice. And she actually talked. You see her, and she always had a frown on her face and never talked. She said, "You have a good evening." So she was in the library until the last hour. And she sat outside. So I saw one of them that I would help, that needs help. Yeah, obviously you need a place, yeah, you deserve a place for a month at least. And, there's no places in Lancaster. Well, here's a hotel paid for. I mean, why not? They deserve it. Guess who can afford it? Fake Elon Musk. Or what about any of the other rich ones? Well, I can easily say that about Elon Musk because I saw a personal interview of his wife that he mistreated. So, oh wow, it's so wonderful to be, around, your very, very genius, incredibly intelligent husband. Well, he doesn't tell me everything. That kind of sucks in a relationship. You're supposed to tell a person everything. But, insane abusers are complete liars. They're so delusional. I mean, the worst thing to ever put up with in my life was to have to deal with a delusional, insane abuser. Just in total denial. They're in total denial of all of their abuse. I was just like, why can't you admit to it? Why can't you just admit to one little thing? Just one little thing. This little event happened. One little event. Just one. They can't even admit to one. It's really bad.